Hello fellow enthusiasts, welcome back to a new video. Today's agenda is to address some common terms in the hobby, SD, HD, and CNC HD. So we're going to take a look at one of each example here, starting with the SD belt. When a maker advertises SD, take a look at this etching on an acid-etched SD belt. To put more color around what you can expect from SD, in Pakistan, things are still rather primitive as far as technologies go. The zinc that is available on the open market in Pakistan is recycled, the acid is polluted and or contaminated, and the process is less refined and of lower technology. Grouping all of this together will result in imperfections around the edges and in the vacant parts of the etching, as you see. Now, depending on the source materials and the individual skill level of the maker, these things can be mediated a bit. Also, the design of the belt can also play into how well it receives the SD process. Belts that have more paint tend to be more forgiving when etched in old dirty acid. The more intricate and complex the design, the more washing and kind of stain runnings you get from the etching. But this is just a simple example of a belt done in quote-unquote SD. Let's move along to our next specimen. Now, because these terms aren't real per se, a maker will say they offer a belt in HD, and this one is CNC milled, which means instead of being etched by acid, it is engraved by a CNC router. First thing you notice is much sharper contours between the elevated and the recessed points. A CNC router will do this with absolute precision. A series of bits pulls away at the metal to make the design that you need, and it's 1 depth, 2 depth, however many you can program with your routing machine. Now, the inherent flaw with CNC, take a look there. The bits will pull away at the metal, and the markings that they leave will be forever in your plates. So anybody that looks carefully or in the right reflection will see that the bit marks remain on the CNC milled belt. This process is much longer than acid etching because every individual detail needs to be done manually. I'm noticing that CNC machines are becoming more common in Pakistan, and down the road this could lead to a lot more of this style belt being on the open market at a lower price point. Right now, many of the makers that offer CNC HD belts try to do so at a higher price point than the Acid Etch Companion, both for reasons of speed in production and perceived value. My opinion, I could be wrong, CNC engraved belts do not need to cost more than SD acid etched belts. And better availability at that price point may lead to increased market share. Now we reach the gold standard of belts true HD acid etching. This is the result of new metal, clean acid, and specialized equipment. Depending on the experience and skill level of the user, you still have the opportunity for flaws. But you see, with the HD acid etching, there is no comparison to the cheaper counterparts. Any detail that is in your artwork can be put into your belt, and you get the crisp lines of CNC with the mirror finish of acid in the recessed points. Materials for this process price out at about 5 times the cost of what you get in the typical Pakistani SD acid etching. Better quality does come with a higher price, but the difference is apparent. What anybody does with their own money is their own prerogative. I do this to illustrate the differences in what someone can expect, because a lot of these terms can be very confusing to a new collector or hobbyist. Historically, before the proliferation of these quote-unquote bootleg belts, this was the only way championship belts were made, and the price point turned off buyers, so a cheaper alternative emerged. To put it all together, let's show the 3 styles that are most common in the market next to one another. We've got the CNC HD belt on top. That is not etched, it is engraved, computer aided, routed through a drill bit like our Acid SD. Again, cheaper materials, more primitive style. Acid HD, the way it has been, should be, will be done. For the observant ones, you can see a difference in the strap quality too. That's a different video for a different day. But thank you guys for spending time with me. Happy collecting, and we'll see you in the next video.